They never knocked, they never did. My former husband and his mother barged into my parents' home as if they still had a claim on me. I was in the kitchen trying to manage dinner, while my teenage daughter, Emma, was studying in the dining room. Their abrupt entrance made my blood boil. "What are you doing here?" I demanded, setting down a bowl and moving into the hallway. Mike smirked, his eyes icy. He hadn't changed a bit. "We have unfinished business, Lisa. It's about the past and money." I noticed Emma peeking from behind the doorframe, worry written all over her face. She knew to stay hidden but nearby. Carol, Mike's mother, crossed her arms. "This is about what's rightfully ours, Lisa." "Rightfully yours," I shot back. "You have no right to storm in here." Mike moved closer, his voice low. "You owe us, Lisa." "Owe you for what?" I spat, furious at their audacity. Emma stepped forward, her voice trembling. "Mom, should I call Grandpa?" "No, sweetie," I replied, trying to keep my voice calm. Turning back to Mike, I added, "You need to leave now. There's nothing to discuss." Carol's eyes narrowed. "You think you can walk away from everything without consequences?" "Think again," I scoffed. "The only consequences are the ones you've brought on yourselves." Mike stepped even closer, close enough for me to smell his cologne. "If you won't talk to us willingly, we'll just take this to court. You can't hide forever, Lisa." I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms. "You're not welcome here. Get out before I call the police." Carol sneered. "You'll regret making this mistake, dear." Mike looked at Emma. "You will be involved as well, Emma. Think about your future." Emma stepped beside me, grabbing my hand. "My future doesn't include you," she said, her voice stronger than mine. Mike's face grew stern. All right, we'll be back. You can't avoid this forever, Lisa." I watched them leave and slammed the door behind them. Emma hugged me, and I felt my resolve strengthen. This wasn't over, but I wouldn't let them push us around anymore. "Mom, what did they mean about money?" Emma asked, her eyes filled with worry. I sighed, guiding her back to the dining room. "It's complicated, honey. They're trying to cause trouble because they're bitter about the divorce, but we'll deal with it together." Emma sat down, her face showing both concern and determination. "You don't have to face them alone, Mom." Her words gave me strength. "I know, sweetie, and I won't. We'll face whatever they throw at us. We're stronger than they think." We continued with dinner. The tension was lingering in the air like a thick cloud. But in that moment, within the walls of my parents' house, we knew we were safe. I knew we had a battle ahead, but I also knew we had each other, and that was just enough to face whatever came next. The intrusion had stirred up a storm of emotions, and as I cleared the table, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. Mike and Carol were out for blood, and I had to be ready for whatever they planned. But I won't let them underestimate the strength that comes from protecting your own. The house was silent after the door slammed shut, but a storm brewed inside me. I watched. Emma pick at her food. Her thoughts were elsewhere. "Emma, are you all right?" I asked, sitting down across from her. She looked up, nibbling at her lip. "There's something I need to tell you, Mom. Something about Dad." My stomach tightened. "What is it, honey?" Emma hesitated for a moment, then took a deep breath. "Before your divorce with Dad, I saw him with another woman." The words hung in the air like a dark cloud. My pulse quickened. "What? When did this happen?" Her eyes filled up with tears. "A few ago, before everything happened. I saw them at a cafe. They were holding hands." The room felt like it was suffocating me. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "I didn't know I was scared, Mom. Things were already bad, and I didn't want to make things worse. I hoped it was just nothing," she whispered, fidgeting with her hand. I reached across the table, gripping her trembling hand. "It's not your fault, Emma. None of this is. Thank you for telling me now." She nodded, relief spreading across her face. "What are we going to do, Mom?" "We're going to uncover the truth and ensure they face the consequences," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. The next few days were fraught with tension. The image of Mike with another woman haunted me. I needed answers. One evening, while sitting on the couch with a cup of tea, I called my friend Mandy. She worked part-time as an investigator, and I trusted her implicitly. "Mandy, I need your help," I said when she answered. "What's going on, Lisa?" Her concerned tone was somewhat reassuring. "Mike was unfaithful before the divorce. I need proof, and if he's hiding anything else, I need to know." There was a pause before she spoke. "I'll look into it, but be careful, Lisa. These things can get messy." "I know, but I need to do this for Emma," I replied, glancing at my daughter, who was focused on her homework. Emma and I had several conversations over the next week. She recalled small details about the woman she had seen with Mike. It turned out to be Rachel, an old friend. The betrayal cut deeper, knowing someone I once trusted was involved. One afternoon, I approached Emma in the living room. "Emma, what else can you remember about the woman with your dad?" Emma looked up from her book, her brows furrowed. She had dark, curly hair. I think it was Rachel. My heart sank. Rachel? Are you certain? Emma nodded slowly. I saw them together more than once, Mom. I'm sorry. Don't apologize, sweetie. You've helped more than you realize. I struggled to keep my voice even. Emma sighed. I wish things were different. We can't undo the past, but we can shape our future, I said, wrapping an arm around her. We'll get through this together. Mandy soon had news. She collected substantial evidence, emails, photographs, even financial records that confirmed Mike's affair with Rachel. The betrayal was now irrefutable. As I examined the incriminating evidence, my resolve solidified. This wasn't just about the infidelity. It was about the lies and deceit that had disrupted our lives. Mike needed to face the consequences, and I was determined to ensure he did. Emma and I were united in this, which gave me strength. The storm was far from over, but now I had a clear direction, a purpose. We would reveal the truth, and Mike would finally see the repercussions of his actions. In the following days, I organized the timeline of Mike's affair using Mandy's evidence. The betrayal hurt deeply, but knowing the truth fueled my determination. I needed more, so I reached out to an old friend who worked at a small-town investigative firm. Lisa, it's been a long time, said Jerry as we sat in his cluttered office. The walls were adorned with photos and trophies of solved cases. He smiled at me, though his eyes were serious. What can I do for you? I need your expertise, I replied, handing him the folder Mandy had compiled. My ex-husband, Mike. I need every piece of information you can find on him and this woman, Rachel. Jerry scanned through the pages, his brows knitting together. Are you sure you want to do this? Digging up more could be painful. I'm certain. My voice was steady despite the turmoil inside. I need to know everything. I'll get started right away, he said. Give me a few days. Leaving his office, I felt a mix of dread and anticipation. I kept busy at work, but my thoughts constantly returned to the revelations. A few days later, Jerry called me. We met at a quiet diner away from prying eyes. He slid another folder across the table. You should sit down for this. Inside were not just photos and emails, but financial statements. Mike had been diverting money from our joint savings for years, funneling it into secret accounts to support his double life with Rachel. My fingers trembled as I went through the evidence. He was thorough, Jerry said, sipping his coffee, but not thorough enough to completely cover his tracks. I can't believe this, I murmured. It's not just the affair, it's the money, our savings. Jerry nodded sullenly. He's been despicable, betraying your trust like this. What do you plan to do? I closed the folder, a fierce determination surging through me. He thinks he can escape the consequences, but he's mistaken. Back home, I laid out the new evidence across the dining table. Emma joined me, her eyes wide with curiosity and concern. Mom, what did you find out? Your dad wasn't just cheating, I said, showing her the documents. He was also stealing from us. Emma scanned the papers, her face having a mixture of anger and disbelief. How could he do this? I wish I knew, honey, I replied, pulling her into a comforting hug, but we'll make sure he faces justice. Later that night, I called Mandy. I've gathered more evidence. It's enough to confront him. She sighed heavily. Lisa, just be cautious. Confrontations like this can get messy. I understand, but I can't let him get away with this. The next day, I met with a family lawyer recommended by Jerry. We meticulously reviewed the financial evidence, and he assured me we had a strong case. He won't have any escape, the lawyer affirmed confidently. You've got him backed into a corner. Despite the reassurances, a knot of anxiety persisted in my chest. Armed with the evidence, I braced myself for the next step, confronting Mike and Rachel face to face. It was time to expose their deception and watch it unravel. As I sat on the edge of my bed that night, Emma quietly beside me, a sense of determination washed over me. This wasn't just about seeking retribution. It was about reclaiming our lives from deceit. Together, we would bring the truth to light, and Mike would finally face the consequences of his actions. With the evidence in hand and a plan forming, I waited. The storm was brewing, and I prepared myself for the confrontation ahead. I sat in the local coffee shop, glancing anxiously at the door. Rachel was late, typical of her penchant for dramatic entrances. Sipping my coffee, bitterness matched my mood. Finally, she entered, hair immaculately styled and makeup flawless. Spotting me, she hurried over with a smile that failed to reach her eyes. Lisa, it's been ages, she exclaimed, attempting a semblance of warmth. Sit down, Rachel, I said, my tone curt and unwelcoming. She sat, her smile faltering. What's this about? I slid the folder across the table towards her. This concerns Mike and the web of deceit you both have spun. Rachel's eyes widened as she leafed through the contents. What is all this? Evidence, I replied icily. Emails, photos, financial records. Proof of your affair and the embezzlement from our family. Rachel's complexion paled. Lisa, So, you weren't having an affair with my husband? Not helping him steal from me? I asked, my voice dripping with sarcasm. She looked around nervously, her voice a whisper now. Hi, it wasn't meant to be like this, trust me. Mike said he was going to leave you anyway. He said you were done. What about the money? Was I done with our savings too? I asked, feeling the anger rise. Lisa, please. Mike had everything planned. I just went along with it, she shuddered, her eyes pleading. You betrayed me, Rachel. I was dumb enough to believe that we were good friends, I stated, standing up. But don't worry, you'll both pay for this. She reached for me, but I stepped back. Lisa, please, don't say that. I can testify against Mike. Just give me a chance. I watched her for a moment, letting her words sink. Finally, I nodded. Well, if you want to make up for it, get me more evidence. Show me you're serious. Rachel looked relieved, nodding quickly. I will, I promise. Leaving the coffee shop, a sense of liberation washed over me. The truth was out, and the journey to reclaiming our lives had begun. Rachel agreed to help, so it will be a little easier for me now. Emma and I would confront whatever lay ahead, fortified by our unity. The storm loomed, but now we faced it with clarity and strength, no longer in the dark. Back at home, I found Emma curled up on the couch with a book. She looked up as I entered, concern etched on her face. How did it go, Mom? Just as I expected, I replied, sitting down beside her. Rachel's frightened. She's agreed to provide more evidence against Mike. Emma nodded, a hint of relief softening her features. Good. He can't keep doing this to us. No, he won't, I assured her, pulling her into a comforting hug. We'll bring him down, Emma. Together. As I held my daughter close, a renewed sense of determination washed over me. Our plan was taking shape, and pieces were falling into place. Now we just needed to follow through. Mike's time was running out. A week later, Rachel phoned me in a panic. Lisa, I have more to share. Meet me at the park near the old oak tree. I agreed and hurried to the park, the autumn breeze stirring my resolve. Rachel was already there, clutching an envelope tightly. Here, she said urgently, handing me the envelope. This contains everything I could find. Emails, bank statements, everything. I opened the envelope and quickly scanned the documents. It was compelling evidence, exposing Mike's betrayal and financial deceit. Why are you doing this, Rachel? I asked, cautiously, still unsure of her intentions. She looked down, tears brimming in her eyes. I made a terrible mistake, Lisa. I thought he loved me, but I see now he was just using me. I can at least try to make it better. I nodded solemnly, tucking the envelope into my pocket. All right, but remember, this doesn't absolve you of your part in all this. I understand, Rachel whispered, her voice heavy with regret. Please take him down. He deserves it. You can count on that, I assured her, turning to leave. Just stay out of our way. This is between me and Mike now. Back home, I spread out the new evidence on the table, my heart pounding in my chest. Mandy walked in, her eyes widening as she took in the sight. That's quite a haul, she remarked, taking the stack of emails I handed her. These could prove he was diverting funds for years. Mandy browsed through them, her expression hardening. Lisa, this goes beyond just an affair now. This is straight-up fraud. Exactly. I agreed, organizing the papers, and he's going to face the consequences. Are you sure you're ready for this? Mandy asked cautiously, her support evident in her tone. I've never been more ready, I replied resolutely. The next day, I made copies of everything and met with our family lawyer. He meticulously reviewed the evidence, nodding approvingly. You've built a strong case, Lisa. Mike won't be able to wriggle out of this. Good, I said firmly, settling back in my chair, because I wanted to face every bit of it. Our strategy was straightforward yet powerful. Use the evidence to confront Mike and Rachel publicly, ensuring they couldn't evade or deny their actions. Later that week, as I sat in my office at work, my phone buzzed with a text from Emma. Mom, what's our next move? I replied promptly. We confronted them at the community fundraiser this weekend. Be prepared. I stood in the thick of the crowd at the community fundraiser, feeling the weight of the confrontation ahead. Emma and I navigated through the bustling event, my focus fixed on the impending confrontation. Mike and Rachel mingled with guests, oblivious to the storm brewing their way. Stepping forward, I raised my voice to ensure everyone heard. I cleared my throat and stepped forward, raising my voice enough for everyone to hear. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the interruption, but I have something important to share. The room fell silent and attention came to me. Mike's been siphoning money from our joint account for years, I said, my voice unwavering. He's been using it to fund his affair with my dear friend Rachel. Are you both enjoying your evening? because it's about to get a lot more interesting, I added, turning to face the two of them fully. A murmur spread through the crowd as I began laying out the details, the affair, the theft, the betrayal. Faces turned from curious to shocked to disgust. Rachel looked like a deer in headlights, frozen as I revealed their sordid secrets one by one. Mike's face paled, anger flashing in his eyes. "Lisa, what the hell are you doing?" "I'm exposing the truth," I declared, pulling out the envelope of evidence. "Mike, Rachel, your deceit ends tonight." A voice from the crowd called out, "Isn't that Mike? What's happening?" The anger in Mike's eyes was unmistakable. "Lisa, shut up." But I was far from finished. "You betrayed me, lied to me, and stole from our family," I continued, addressing the crowd more than Mike, "and it's time to face the consequences." Faces turned from curiosity to shock, and whispers spread like wildfire. Rachel looked like she wanted to vanish, guilt evident on her face. "Lisa, please, don't do this," she pleaded. "It's too late for that," I said firmly, my voice unwavering. "You both betrayed me and stole from me. Now everyone knows." Mike's composure cracked, and he snarled, "You've ruined everything, Lisa." Meeting his gaze with resolve, I countered, "No, Mike, you ruined yourself." Rachel finally found her voice, desperation coloring her tone. I tried to stop him. "Lisa, you have to believe me." "Believe you?" I laughed bitterly. "You're just as complicit. You knew exactly what you were doing." The air crackled with tension as the fundraiser organizers intervened, attempting to diffuse the situation. But the damage was irreversible. The truth had been exposed, and there was no retracting it. As Mike and Rachel stood there, exposed and humiliated, the atmosphere turned against them. Colleagues averted their eyes, friends murmured in hushed tones, and some distanced themselves in disdain. My lawyer, who had conveniently been present, stepped forward, taking the evidence from me. "We'll be in touch, Mike," I suggest you get ready. Mike shot me a venomous glare before storming out, Rachel trailing behind him. The room slowly regained a semblance of normalcy, though the tension lingered like a bitter taste. Emma hugged me tightly, her eyes gleaming with pride. "We did it, Mom. We really did." I kissed her forehead, feeling a mix of relief and exhaustion. "Yes, we did, and now we can begin to move forward." Leaving the event, the chilly night air felt like a fresh beginning as we walked hand in hand. I knew the path ahead wouldn't be easy, but it was one we would navigate free from the shadows of deception. Back at home, as Emma drifted off to sleep, I sat by the window gazing into the darkness. The battle was far from over, but for the first time in a long while, I felt a sense of calm. The truth was out, and the process of healing could finally commence. Together, Emma and I would rebuild our lives, step by step. The aftermath unfolded swiftly. Mike's attempts to contact me went unanswered as colleagues, friends, and even family distanced themselves. His once impeccable reputation at work crumbled under the weight of rumors and scrutiny. The whispers of his misconduct eventually reached the ears of his superiors. An old friend from Mike's company called me, his voice grave. "Lisa, you won't believe it. They're launching an internal investigation into Mike's finances. He might lose his job." "Good," I replied easily. "He deserves whatever consequences come his way." Meanwhile, Rachel faced her unraveling. Her husband, blindsided by the affair and financial betrayal, promptly filed for divorce. One evening, Rachel appeared at my doorstep, eyes swollen with tears, clutching divorce papers in her trembling hand. "Lisa, please," she pleaded, her voice breaking. "I need to talk to you." I stood, arms crossed against the doorframe. "What do you want, Rachel?" Taking a deep breath, she extended the papers towards me. "It's the divorce papers. I don't know what to do." "That's not my concern, Rachel. You made your choices," I said sternly, my empathy buried beneath layers of hurt and betrayal. "You didn't consider the consequences when you were stealing from me." Tears streamed down her face as she sobbed. "I've lost everything. I never meant for any of this." "You brought this upon yourself," I retorted, closing the door on her pleading gaze. In the days that followed, Mike's world continued to unravel. He was suspended pending the investigation, and his bank froze his accounts. Each time he attempted to reach out to me, I ignored his calls. Emma and I focused on moving forward, determined to rebuild our lives. "Mom, you look exhausted. Are you okay?" Emma asked one evening as we sat together on the couch, the television murmuring in the background. "I'm fine, sweetheart," I reassured her, squeezing her hand. "Just processing everything that's happening." Emma's expression grew serious. "Do we have to see Dad again?" Shaking my head, I replied firmly, "Not if we don't want to. We have the power to decide what's best for us." She nodded thoughtfully, her features softening. "Good, I don't want to see him." I understand, I affirmed, pulling her into a comforting embrace. We're going to be all right, Emma. The next afternoon, as I sorted through legal documents at my office, Mike unexpectedly barged in, looking disheveled and desperate. Lisa, we need to talk, he insisted, ignoring my protests. What do you want, Mike? I said, my patience wearing thin. You've destroyed everything, Lisa. My job, my reputation. He trailed off, his voice laced with desperation. No, Mike, you did this to yourself, I shot back, my tone firm. You chose deceit and betrayal. He slumped into a chair, his face buried in his hands. Please, Lisa, I'm sorry. I'll do anything to make it right. I looked at him, feeling a pang of pity mixed with anger. There's nothing you can do now, Mike. This is on you. He looked up, his eyes pleading. For Emma's sake, Lisa, think about her. Don't bring Emma into this, I replied sharply. You've hurt her enough. Defeated, Mike stood up slowly. I understand, he said quietly before leaving my office. Watching him go, I knew I had made the right decision. The consequences of his actions were finally catching up with him. In the following weeks, the fallout from Mike's actions continued to unfold. Rachel left town, trying to escape the scandal that had consumed her. Mike faced an internal investigation at work, his once promising career in jeopardy. Meanwhile, Emma and I settled into our new home, a small but cozy place where we could rebuild our lives away from the chaos of the past. We spent evenings organizing and decorating, turning our house into a sanctuary. We sat together on the couch one evening, surrounded by boxes yet to be unpacked. Emma spoke softly. Mom, do you think Dad will ever find his way back? I sighed, considering Mike's shattered life. I don't know, Emma. That's something he has to figure out on his own. She nodded thoughtfully. I hope he does. Me too, sweetheart, I said, squeezing her hand. But right now, let's focus on us and our fresh start. With a sense of peace settling over us, we looked forward to the future, ready to embrace the new chapter of our lives together. To celebrate our fresh start, we decided to host a small dinner party. Mandy and a few close friends joined us, their arrival marked by warm smiles and thoughtful housewarming gifts. Laughter filled the house as we caught up and enjoyed each other's company. Later in the evening, amidst the cheerful chatter, Mandy pulled me aside with a proud and affectionate gleam in her eyes. You've come a long way, Lisa. I'm really proud of you, she said warmly. Thank you, Mandy, I replied, feeling deeply grateful. Your support has meant the world to us. As the night wound down and our guests departed, Emma and I sat together on the porch, looking up at the starry sky. She leaned her head against my shoulder, a serene silence enveloping us. We're going to be okay, right, Mom? She asked softly, her voice tinged with hope. Yes, sweetheart, we will, I assured her, gently kissing her forehead. Together, we're stronger than ever. In the weeks that followed, we settled into our new routine. Emma blossomed in her new school, making friends and exploring new interests. I found solace in my work, embracing the familiar rhythm of our peaceful life in our new home. One afternoon, a letter arrived for Mike. It was different from his previous attempts at communication, marked by a rare humility and genuine remorse for the pain he had caused. Lisa, I know I have no right to ask for forgiveness. I just want you to know that I understand now. I'm truly sorry for everything. The letter read, its sincerity palpable. I read it carefully, my heart heavy with mixed emotions. After thoughtful consideration, I chose not to respond. Mike's journey towards redemption was his own to navigate, distinct from ours. Mom, are you okay? Emma asked, sensing my contemplative mood. I looked at her, a soft smile spreading across my face. Yes, Emma, I'm okay. I was just reflecting on how far we've come. Me too, she said brightly, her eyes reflecting her optimism. I'm excited to see what lies ahead for us. Life unfolded peacefully, filled with everyday joys and quiet moments that bound us closer together. Emma and I cherished our newfound stability, grateful for the chance to rebuild our lives free from the shadows of deceit and betrayal. Together, we embraced each day, knowing that our bond was stronger than any storm we had weathered. One Saturday morning, Emma and I decided to create a garden in our backyard. As we dug into the earth, preparing the soil and carefully planting seeds, we shared stories and dreams. I can't wait to see this garden full of colorful flowers, Emma remarked, her eyes sparkling with excitement and anticipation. It's going to be beautiful, I agreed, wiping sweat from my brow, just like our lives, growing and blossoming. As the sun dipped low, casting a warm golden glow over our new home, I felt a profound sense of peace settle within me. The journey we had been on had been challenging, marked by heartache and betrayal, but it had also brought us closer together and made us stronger. Looking out at the garden taking shape and feeling the soil between my fingers, I knew that despite everything, we had found a place of healing and hope. The future stretched ahead of us like the rows of freshly planted seeds, promising growth and new beginnings. Together, Emma and I would nurture our garden and our lives, taking each day, as it came with gratitude and determination. And in that moment, watching the sun set over our garden, I knew deep in my heart that we would not